With the abdication of King Alfonso in 1931, Spain began to emerge from its feudal past of poverty, illiteracy, and church domination. The new republic instituted desperately needed land reform and introduced separation of church and state. In its first year, the republic built 8,000 new schools.
When I first heard about Spain, they were bringing in education for children in the little villages and so on. They never had any schools. When they were bringing in the vote, and women were voting too, which was I thought that was really nice. Here's a little country, and they're bringing in a vote. And you think, well, here it's going to succeed. Isn't that marvelous? At least everything isn't turning like in Germany or like in Italy. I mean, here's another kind of country.
However, these reforms provoked violence between the right and the left. For 5 years, the right, composed of the military, the church, and the aristocracy, sought a return to the old order of power and privilege for the few. Anarchist, socialist, and communist parties on the left agitated for more sweeping change. In the 1936 election, a liberal and leftist coalition of workers, peasants, and large segments of the middle class elected a Popular Front government. The right regarded this new government as the final threat to its power. The army rose against the government in July 1936. The rebel generals, including Francisco Franco, expected to conquer Spain in 1 week. They did not count on the fierce resistance of armed workers and peasants. The defenders of the Republic, called Loyalists, slowed the rebel advance on Madrid.
Madrid takes to the barricades as this fortnight of frantic combat drives Spain's death toll well into the third 100,000. The capital's stubborn defenders fortify all positions for the final climactic struggle. Everywhere is evidence of the grim resolve never to surrender. Street banners proclaim they shall not pass. Men, women, and children flaunt the determination to fight to a finish. Today they parade, tomorrow they may die.
To crush this resistance, Franco would receive aid from Hitler and Mussolini, both eager to test the new military forces. Together, they sent more than 100,000 troops, over 1,000 tanks, 3,000 pieces of artillery, and hundreds of thousands of machine guns and small arms. Critically important were the bombers of the elite German Condor Legion and the squadrons of Italian fighter planes. In the United States, soapbox speakers like Milt Wolfe tried to arouse an apathetic public.
And I told them that the Spanish people have risen up and are resisting this. This is the first resistance to the march of Nazi aggression that has manifested itself. It has not happened in China. It has not happened in Africa. In both places they were suppressed, they were defeated. But the Spanish people are fighting back, and they are winning. And with your help, with our help, We can defeat fascism in Spain. We can make Madrid the tomb of fascism and save our lives, our children's lives, and turn this menace back.
People who had never been politically active before, like Ruth Davidow, were moved to support the Republican cause.
Of course, there was Hitler and the whole question of Germany and the abuse of the Jews, which I felt was a business, bad as I felt about it, but I thought it was a German problem and it was not an American problem. And then the Italians went into Ethiopia, and I still thought it was pretty much an Italian problem or an Ethiopian problem, and I could not connect it. I think what really shook me is that when both Hitler and Mussolini went into Spain, and I realized that they weren't going to be satisfied with a piece here and a piece there. They were out for the whole world. And I began to feel pretty much involved in what was happening. I'm pretty upset, as a matter of fact.
Became aware of what was going on over there, and was very much on the side of the Republic, because seemed to me they were fighting for all the things that we had. A little less power to one church, a little less land for the nobility, more for the people, universal education, all the things that America stood for. Well, the first thing you say is, well, England, France, and the United States aren't going to stand for anything like that. And the next thing you know, the Congress has voted non-intervention, following the lead of Neville Chamberlain, and not to get involved in war on either side. Well, this was just cutting off the Republic's chance to defend itself.
The Non-Intervention Committee meets again to discuss...
Soon after the war began, 27 European nations formed a non-intervention committee. They signed a pact prohibiting the sale of arms to both sides of the Spanish War. In January 1937, the United States followed Europe's lead with its own embargo. U.S. Secretary of State Cordell Hull.
The American government has stressed the complete impartiality of its attitude and has publicly stated that in conformity with its well-established policy of non-interference with internal affairs in other countries, either in time of peace or in the event of civil strife, it will, of course, scrupulously refrain from any interference whatsoever in the unfortunate Spanish situation.
It was the first time in its history that the United States refused to sell arms to a legally elected government. The Republic's only sources of military support were the Soviet Union and Mexico.
America hates war. America...
Leaders in America and Europe chose policies of neutrality, which implicitly favored Franco. They were afraid of alienating war-weary voters by taking sides, afraid that the liberal government in Spain might turn communist, and afraid of antagonizing Hitler.
I was a great believer in democracy, and I'm sure most people in this country are. We believed a lot of the things we were taught in school, that it was important to have a democratically elected government. And in Spain, there was a democratically elected government which was being overthrown, invaded, assaulted without support of the other democracies. It was an unbelievable circumstance to most of us.
In Spain, the fascists changed the face of war. In Guernica, Barcelona, Bilbao, and Madrid, the German Condor Legion, for the first time in history, systematically bombed civilian populations.